That were basically in line with expectations. They're mentioning the impact of the health pass that they had on its sales on hypermarkets that were part of their big shopping malls when you need a health pass to get into. They said they had an impact on sales in August, but that by the end of September, they had no more French stores impacted by this. And of course, the comparables are very tough. Remember that last year, a lot of people have been stockpiling, and so supermarkets have been benefiting from this. And Carrefour themselves, a year ago, had one of the best performance in almost 2 decades. So of course, the comparables are tough, and their sales are still up 0.8% like-for-like to 20.5 billion. So again, in line with expectations. That's a slowdown compared to the second quarter, where their sales were up 3%. So a bit of a slowdown. Again, the hypermarket, the hypermarché, still suffering a little bit in France in particular. That's a segment of the business has been struggling a little bit in the past few quarters. And they just said the hypermarkets sales were down almost 3%. That was also the case in the second largest market, Spain, where also hypermarkets had been suffering, and the overall sales in Europe outside of France were down 1.2%. Latin America, though, did well, up 7%. But one thing that investors also wanted to hear about was a comment on M&A, because there's been these rumors that we're looking and studying a potential tie-up with competitor Auchan that is privately owned in France. They didn't comment directly on this, but they mentioned that they want to be the CEO saying that Carrefour attractive and on the offensive for both customers and shareholders, and the CFO mentioning that they are just looking at bolt-on acquisitions and to focus on their 3 main markets, which is France, Spain and Brazil. And remember, they bought Walmart's operation in Brazil earlier in the year, and they say at the moment they don't need any transformational deals, but of course all as a chatter on M&A and whether this can involve Carrefour will carry on. This is the second time just this year there's talks. You remember there were Couche-Tard early in the year, now Auchan, so there'll certainly be a lot of M&A in these sectors in Europe in general, and Carrefour seems to be remaining at the heart of this. But overall, the stocks, actually the Carrefour shares up at the top of the CAC 40 this morning on the back of these results, 1.2% on the CAC.